They say everything in moderation, but it does not always feel like that in American politics. Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, long known as a party moderate, survived her state's primary this month. In a heated primary season, she took advantage of Alaska's top four system, in which the top four vote getters move on regardless of party. Some call it a blanket primary. It's also known as a jungle primary. In November, among others, she will now take on Trump-backed fellow Republican Kelly Tshibaka. Why does Trump like her so much? Well, because she stands with him while Murkowski voted to convict Trump after his impeachment. Now, both Murkowski and Tshibaka head to the general election in other states across the country. Those sorts of matchups are happening in the primaries, making for inter-party grudge matches much more about personalities than actually about issues. And in many cases, it is the moderates who have the least chance to get through. Consider this. Here are the 10 Republicans who voted for Trump's impeachment after the January 6 riots at the Capitol. They include members such as Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, and Representative Peter Meijer. And now here are how many have survived the 2022 midterms. Just Dan Newhouse of Washington and John Villadeo of California. The rest have either lost to Trump-backed challengers this year or they have chosen to retire. Political analysts suggest some of those stepping down faced tough campaigns. So what exactly was different about Newhouse and Villadeo? How did they manage to do what so many of their fellow Republicans didn't? Well, it might have less to do with them and actually more with the way that people vote in their districts. You see, similar to Alaska, in both cases, voters in Washington state and California cast ballots in a top two primary system. Voters could choose any candidate, and the candidates could make appeals to any voter, not just their motivated party base. The New York Times conducted a poll last month, and here's what it learned. Many voters want to upend the system. No surprise there. In fact, nearly 6 in 10 say the American political system needs either major reform or a complete overhaul altogether. Now, some are advocating to change our elections even more drastically to something called ranked choice voting. Many cities and some states are already doing it, including New York City in mayoral elections. Ranked choice allows voters to pick and rank several preferred candidates, not just one. And it goes like this. You put your candidates in order of preference, 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on your local or state rules. And if no candidate has a majority after counting everyone's number one choice, the last place finisher is eliminated. So if you voted for that person, your number 2 becomes your vote. Then they count again. And there's a winner once a candidate receives more than half the vote. Now, here's a sample ballot from Alaska's ranked choice vote on August 16th for Congress. You see the candidates Nick Begich, Sarah Palin, and Mary Peltola. According to state results, Begich landed in third place with 27%, so he would be eliminated. And now election officials will tally again using the second choices of Begich's voters in trying to get one candidate to more than 50%. That's the whole point. Even if your first choice loses, you still get a say, or so the argument goes. Is this a change we need, and are results this cycle from California, Washington, and Alaska evidence that primaries can be more about candidates and issues? Maybe so. Joining me now is Stan Lockhart, the former chairman of the Utah GOP and a supporter he supports ranked choice voting. Thanks for being with us, Stan. You know, it's confusing. When you explain it, it's confusing, but I was trying to think of it like this. I had this boss who was trying to give people the holidays off and said, rank your top 3 choices, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, and then you'll either get 1 or 2. Is it kind of like that?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I would disagree with this, though, Brian. We started off this segment by talking about moderates. I don't think anybody would say that Sarah Palin is a moderate, and yet it looks likely that she might win this election.
Yeah, you broke up a little, Stan, but you talk about moderates. Do you think that this gives moderates more of a chance, this type of new system?
I'd replace the word moderate with electable. I think what happens with ranked choice voting is you get the most electable candidates moving forward through the process. And if you use ranked choice voting in primaries, that allows Republican to get their most electable candidates running in the general election, much like Glenn Youngkin in Virginia, where the Republican Party used ranked choice voting to nominate him, we'll get other conservatives like Youngkin who can win statewide elections.
One thing I've read is that with ranked choice voting, it sort of simmers down all the rhetoric, that it's a more civil election, which I'm trying to understand because you've still got opponents who are going to go after each other, right? So how does it actually simmer things down?
Yeah, so voters are rewarded by focusing on issues rather than focusing on the politics of personal destruction and attacking their opponents. If you attack your opponent, it's likely you can't get that opponent's supporters to vote for you as a number 2 or a number 3 choice. So you end up focusing on issues, and not just your issues, but your opponent's issues. And so you truly get to the future of the district that you live in, and you get to give voters a reason to vote for you based on your stand on issues.
So what about people watching this who are thinking, why not just vote for the best person for the job, kind of the way we already do it? Let's just pick the best person. Why is this other way better?
Well, if you go look around the country, we find that people end up winning primaries with a third of the support of their party. And ranked choice voting allows you to truly get to a majority support within your party. And so there's less of I'm really, really happy or really, really unhappy, and there's much more of I'm pretty happy with the results. And so you get to a majority of support within your party, and then that allows you to have a springboard into a general election. Now, I'm talking about primaries. There's some times that we use this in general elections like Alaska. But again, I would tell you that Palin is not a moderate. She's a conservative Republican.
Interesting. We just got 30 seconds left. But if this ranked choice voting was in effect nationwide, do you think it would have had a big impact in 2020? Would we have seen a big difference, do you think?
Yeah, I think more Republicans win. I think in the Georgia runoff with Loeffler and Purdue, I think our Republicans would have won those elections using ranked choice voting. And so today, Republicans would have a majority in the U.S. Senate using ranked choice voting if that had been the case in 2020 in Georgia.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if this catches on. Obviously, it's popping up in a few places, but it seems like it's getting momentum in other parts of the country too. Stan Lockhart, thank you so much for coming on tonight and explaining it to us.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.